Hello and welcome to Loppy Loves Iceland. If you haven't been here before, my name is Lauren and on this channel I talk about my life as an immigrant living in Iceland. And last week I was in the Sun newspaper in the UK, so I'm just going to talk about the article today. So today we have a different filming location. Everything is getting ready to potentially move house. We're potentially listing our apartment for sale. But it's not confirmed yet, so everything's a little bit chaotic. We're cleaning but also packing things up, so it's a bit of a weird time here at the moment. So I was actually in two news things recently. One was a few weeks ago. I was in Iceland Review and they did an interview with me about living in Iceland, and that is available on their Facebook page and also on Instagram. So that is just Iceland Review. And if you follow me on Instagram, they actually tagged me as a collaborator on that post, so you should be able to find it easily. And if you just scroll down their feed, it's just photos of me, and then if you click on the caption, the interview is there. But today we're going to be talking about the interview with the Sun newspaper. So there were four of us, I think, that were interviewed, and we're all Brits living in Iceland. And yeah, it was just about living here as well. I can't speak for the others that were interviewed, but at least for my interview, not everything that I mentioned was put into the article. Some things that I said were kind of exaggerated or twisted a little bit, which is to be expected in any mainstream media, but particularly The Sun, I think, has a bit of a reputation for doing things like this. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of go through my part of the article and set the record straight a little bit. This got posted in the British group that we have on Facebook for Brits living in Iceland, and there were a few people voicing their concerns that it wasn't entirely accurate or it was misleading in some way. So I thought I would just come on here, talk about it. And I mean, maybe some of you haven't seen the article anyway. Some of my subscribers here, because it was behind a paywall, but there is a way to get around it, and I'll tell you that in a bit. So let's get into it. So here is the Sun article. So it's called Safe House. We moved to the world's safest country. We work less and earn £25,000 more than we did in the UK. And everyone speaks English. I'm not a fan of the last part of that headline, but I understand it's to grab attention. It says, as more expats leave Dubai, the Sun spoke to people living in the beautiful country, which has once again been ranked the world's most peaceful and safest. Does that continue? No, okay, it doesn't. I guess that's meant to be country in the world. Again, expats. I generally don't use the word expat to describe myself because I potentially not returning to the UK, which I think is what expat means usually, is that you're someone who's abroad but you're planning to move back. I'm just an immigrant because I live here permanently. So there's some photos on this. Some of them are mine and some of them are the other people that were interviewed. I'll blur their photos out because, I don't know them. I don't have permission to share those photos. It says, looking up at the starry night sky, Lauren Moulton couldn't believe her new life. The 32-year-old had left her job in Birmingham to live in stunning nature abroad. She now earns 3 times as much as she did in the UK and always feels safe. So while it is true that I do now earn 3 times as much as I did when I left the UK, you have to think I did leave the UK almost 10 years ago. So yeah, I mean, I do still earn more than I would in the UK, but my wage in the UK would have gone up in the last decade too. It says, which is unsurprising as Iceland, where Lauren moved to 10 years ago, has been voted the safest country in the world. While Dubai was once a popular choice for expats, more and more Brits are leaving the Emirates for other destinations amid the war in the Middle East. And while Iceland can't offer the sunshine of places popular with Brits like the Maldives, Montenegro, Barbados, it has the Northern Lights, very good salaries, and a much better work-life balance than the UK. As a bonus, 98% of the population is fluent in English, making life easier for Brit expats. Now, that sentence was right before the first quote from me. I never said anything about people speaking English making life easier for British expats because I learned Icelandic. And yes, I think it does make life easier, that a lot of people speak English very well, but you shouldn't rely on that. You should still put effort into learning it. So I don't like that they put this because it makes it almost makes it sound like it's something that I said, because my quote is right afterwards. And then it goes on to say, one of the biggest differences for me is work-life balance, Lauren tells The Sun. Yep, that is true. In the UK, I was working a lot of hours just to make ends meet. Here I feel like I have more breathing space, financially and personally. That makes a big difference in day-to-day life, indeed. Goes on to say, when I first moved to Iceland, and that I maxed out a £4,000 credit card during my first 3 months here. I was staying with an Icelandic family for free. Just trying to get established. That is true. I paid that card off in 1 year. It was a bit of a leap of faith, but once I started building a life here, I realised I didn't want to leave. Yeah. I think I actually said, like, I was here for 3 months for the summer, and by the end of the 3 months, I felt like I was at home and just wanted to stay longer. I wasn't finished in Iceland, you know, I needed to be here longer. Having felt stuck living in Birmingham, I did feel stuck living in Birmingham. Lauren had been petrified of life staying exactly the same. I said that I was scared to move abroad, but I was more scared of nothing changing in my life, and that is something I have said on this channel before, on my blog before, on guest blogs that I've done with other people. So petrified of life staying the same. I wouldn't say I was petrified, I was a bit worried about it. It goes on about the debt a little bit more. While the cost of living in Iceland is definitely high, wages are also much higher. When I left Birmingham, I was earning about £950 a month after taxes as a qualified jeweller, not including overtime. Yeah, and then it goes on to say about my wages, which is information that I told them. And we go down a very, very blurry picture of me from a few years ago, being happy in the snow. They asked me for monthly expenses, and I think I was the only person that actually put a breakdown of wages and expenses and things. So it's about my boyfriend owns our 2-bedroom apartment in Selfoss, and I contribute to the mortgage and bills, and how much I spend on the mortgage, on food, and on my gym membership. I will say that we got the cheapest apartment in Selfoss at the end of 2021 when we got it, and we haven't really paid down our mortgage at all because of the kind of mortgage that we have. We actually checked at the weekend, and our mortgage, like the loan, is now higher than it was to start with. We also reduced the payments we were making when we were studying for the last few years. But our apartment has gone up a lot in value because we are potentially planning to sell it at the moment, so we had it valued. So even though I'm not paying that much compared to my wage, we aren't really paying the mortgage down or anything, and it was a lot cheaper at the price we bought it than anything you could buy here now. You will not get anywhere in Selfoss for the price that we got now. I don't think you'd even get like a 1-bedroom apartment for what we paid for this place. My commute is now a 5-minute walk. It's really quick to get to work, as opposed to like an hour in Birmingham. The cost of living is higher here, but even taking that into account, I feel much more financially stable than I did in the UK, and that is true. I now have more time to see friends, paint, crochet, read, write, make jewellery, and spend as much time as possible outdoors and travelling. Yep, I did also put, as one of my hobbies, making YouTube videos to see if they will try and, have a little link to the channel. No, it didn't work. It was worth a try. It's one of my big quotes. What is it? I generally feel much more comfortable in everyday situations, like walking around alone at night. This next section is going to be one that I had more information in that they didn't add. So it says, Lauren also says she feels safer in Iceland than in the UK. Growing up in Birmingham, where violent crime is relatively high, it sometimes felt like stories about stabbings or serious incidents were just part of everyday life. I had put knife crime and gang-related crime. I put gang something. I can't remember the exact wording that I said. Here I generally feel much more comfortable in everyday situations, like walking around at night. But that doesn't mean unsafe situations never happen here. While Iceland is often seen as a very safe country, it's definitely not perfect. So in the interview, she'd asked me to give situations, like give specific examples of when I felt unsafe in Birmingham. I actually said that even though I do feel safer in Iceland, there have been incidents in Iceland, where I've had to go to the police and the police didn't do a huge amount. I also put the first incident that I had here at my first job where someone followed me into the staff area and pushed me against the wall, a man. And the police had to be involved and they knew him and they laughed off the situation. That wasn't mentioned in the article. So I like that they've actually put the quote that it doesn't mean unsafe situations never happen here, but I wish that they'd put a bit more context in it. But I know that for The Sun they want strong contrasts, and this was meant to be a light-hearted piece about, moving abroad. So yeah, that's my little bit. There was a lot more in the interview that was mentioned, and I did try to have it a lot more balanced, the situations. One thing I was also asked is if I would ever consider moving back to the UK, and I did put that yes, I would. I didn't consider it at the beginning. It was a permanent decision, but in the last couple of years, living in Iceland has made me appreciate England a lot more, made me fall in love with my home country, and that it is a potential, option in the future to move back to the UK. That's not out of the question. And I do think that was meant to be in the article, because the next part does say that the next person interviewed, however, has no intention of ever moving back to the UK. But it never mentioned anything about my intention, so that, that sentence doesn't make sense. This person, however, has no intentions. So yeah, that was the article. Go and read it. Go and read the other people's experiences as well. And yes, how to read this for free. So, like I said, the article is called "We Moved to the World's Safest Country. We work less than £25,000 more than we did in the UK, and everyone speaks English." Or just type in The Sun newspaper Iceland, and it should be the first thing that comes up on the Sun page. Now, when I first did it, I just kept pressing refresh, and eventually it let me read the article for free. But something that I recently discovered was that if you go onto a website which is archive.ph, you can search for any paywall articles and read them for free. So you can do that. I'm not saying I recommend it, but I'm just saying that if you don't have a Sun account, then you can read it that way. Yep, so that's it from me today. Let me know if you read the article. I recommend it because the other people's experiences are all very different from my own, and it is really interesting actually to see them all. Read the Iceland Review interview if you have Facebook or Instagram, but it's not available on their website. And I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!